Good evening, good evening. I hope everyone is doing well. Waiting to see the video view pop up. There she is. Hope everyone's doing well. Boy, do I have the news for you tonight. Lots of it. Last night, or not last night, sorry. Today, as I was bringing up the tabs in order to do the show here, I even had to remove a couple, which one of them I will mention because it is kind of significant. Gold, the price of gold actually beat a record today, so that's definitely notable. However, believe it or not, I have got a hell of a lot more important news than that to cover. So, first off, I want to make one little quick addition, and then as soon as I make this addition, I will discuss how to shut people up about DEI, because I seem to have found something that works very well. I've not had a single liberal even reply back to it, because, well, it'd be kind of foolish to. So anyway, real quick, the addition to last night's show is, and this is to one person in particular that I know quietly watches the show. The best thing about not lying to, or even more importantly, not lying about somebody, is you don't have to avoid them later on in life. You have to make a choice in life. You either live for yourself, or you live to please others. But the important thing to understand with that is if you live to please others, you will never be free. Never. You will never be happy. And that's a fact. Sometimes you just have to tell people how it is. You have to take any lumps that you have to take and move on with your life. That's the important part of repentance. Because if you don't take that step, you can never move forward. Never. So, you do you. But it sure in the hell beats quietly watching somebody's show and trying to avoid them seeing you look at them as you drive by. Just saying. Okay, next up, how to shut people up about DEI. I've used this in the last couple of days, and I'm telling you, it works swimmingly. So when somebody is talking about the DEI thing, ask them, because I don't think people really bring it home. You know, with the whole immigrant thing, you know how the left shuts up when you start asking them if they're going to take in the immigrants, if they're going to take the immigrants in their homes? They're like, oh, well, you know. When you ask them on the climate change thing, if they're willing to give up their iPhones, then, oh, no. Well, you can do the same thing with DEI. All you have to do is ask them, if you pay your hard-earned money for somebody to do a job for you, are you going to hire somebody that either can't complete the job or can't do the job right, just so you can check off some DEI boxes? Or are you going to pay your hard-earned money to somebody that you know is competent and can complete the job to your satisfaction? So far, I haven't had a single liberal respond to that. So I would call that a win. You have to bring it home to them. You have to make it personal to them. Otherwise, they won't get it. So anyway, let's move on with some news. One of the big news things in the last couple of days, rightfully so, and I'll tell you what, I was kind of pissed off when it was first said until I had time to think about it. Dude's smart. I'm referring to Trump's Gaza takeover comments. I'm referring to him talking about, how we could basically take it over, take control, redevelop it, and all that. And initially, I was upset for a couple of different reasons. For one, where's the America First rhetoric? Here we are again in another country making them better. Where's the America First? Well, he is taking care of America. And I have to say that. He is. In fact, they made sure to remind the people of North Carolina that they are not forgotten. Made sure, through the press secretary, to remind them of that. The other reason why I was pissed off about it is because if you've been paying attention to the news, he's been talking to other countries like Egypt and Jordan about taking in the Palestinians. Well, I'm not a fan of relocating them. I'm just not. That is their country. Leave them alone. But today, through the White House press secretary, there was another word that was added to that. And if you're astute enough to pick up on it and pick up on other things that he said and stances that he's long held, you can figure it out. Firstly, what stance has Trump been long held about involving Palestine, Palestinians? Two-state solution. Trump has always been in favor of a two-state solution. Trump has repeatedly talked, especially this time around, about peace, how he wants peace, even if it has to be peace through strength. I have not seen a peace through strength president like this since Ronald Reagan. And it's a welcome sight because there's a lot of truth to that. And when you combine that with the statements made today that the relocation is temporary, she made sure to emphasize temporary relocation of the Gazans. It got me thinking, well, what's dude up to? And then it was like a light bulb in my head. He wants to, again, essentially take control of Gaza, rebuild it, make it a beautiful place, make it a lush place, a place that anybody would want to live. And then he's going to put the Gazans back in it, under U.S. control. Because, see, this whole thing of Palestine being under Israeli control hasn't been working. And, what can you say? When you got these people that are so-called Israeli settlers going and beating and abusing and even killing people that have lived on, generations have lived on that land. There are people, Palestinians, that have been working olive tree farms, whatever you want to call them, for generations on their land. And some Israeli settler walk in and be like, I want this piece of land. And they will beat, they will abuse, and they will kill to take over that property. That's not right. How can anybody say that it's wrong for a supposed to be sovereign nation to build a militant arm, aka Hamas, to fight back against that? How would we feel if Mexicans just started coming into the United States and taking over things? Oh, like maybe apartment buildings How would Americans feel like that? Would a American, would they defend their land? Would they defend their property? I sure the hell hope so. So what's the difference? Because it's way over there and it's not personal? Nah, I ain't buying it. I ain't buying it. I got a bigger mind than that. I'm not stuck so small into my own little bubble that as long as it's not personally happening to me, that I don't have to actually put thought into it. I'm not that simple-minded. So here's the thing. Trump wants to redevelop Gaza and possibly other areas over in Palestine, put the Palestinians back in it, and be the one that controls what goes on. And I can assure you that if Trump tells them, look, there ain't going to be a militant arm. There ain't going to be you attacking Israel. And there's not going to be Israel attacking you. I see what he's doing. People talk about that 4D, that 5D chess that Trump plays. That's what he's doing. And he's brilliant. And the humorous thing about it is, neither the left or the right even realize what Trump's doing. It's hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. But, and it took me a moment. Took a couple of key words. The entire time I was sitting there thinking, you know, he has always been in favor of a two-state solution. And so it never made, it just didn't make sense to me when he made that statement. Now it does. So anyway, there's a lot of uproar over that. There's a lot of uproar over, oh gosh, there is so much going on. The speed in which Trump and those working with him are getting stuff done is alarming. And the stuff that he's trying to do, they're making it happen. For instance, the FBI. There were members of the FBI that wanted to start a class action suit against Trump because of basically him wanting to profile them, and if they were involved in the January 6th stuff, bye-bye. Speaking of bye-bye, I got to mention this. Good to see Ken Herron back on the YouTubes. If you don't know who Ken Herron is, he's mostly known for his drone video content, and the guy is absolutely hilarious. One of the most hilarious people that I know on YouTube. And anyway, he got his channel hacked. And some, I guess, crypto freak, some crypto crook, to be more accurately, got control of his channel. Like over 300,000 people, or subscribers, got control of his channel. So I want to welcome Ken Herron back to YouTube. I want to thank him for all of his content throughout the years. Guy is hilarious. And it's good to see that they got that taken care of. So, anyway, what led me to that? So, I was talking about all the different stuff going on, the FBI stuff. So, they were going to go after him with a class action lawsuit for him wanting to dismiss people that were involved in activities that aren't cool. Because it's not cool what they did and how they did it, meaning the FBI. Well, apparently, that's not working out so well for him, and Trump's continuing to move forward with that. The FBI handed over, 5,000? Wait a minute, I got it here. Actually, I got it here. I'll wait. But crazy, crazy, crazy. So I told you about the whole Trump-Gaza thing. Again, smooth. Very, very smooth on Trump's part. I'm definitely happy that it wasn't what I initially thought he was doing. Wow. Hang on, I'm trying to bring back up my control here. My tablet went dark on me. Come on, load up. This tablet's like way slow. Okay. So, this is kind of something to pay attention to, and, you know. But again, there's two sides to it. We can't abstain from doing something that other nations are going to be doing and wind up running all over us because they did it and we didn't. Google removes ban on weaponizing AI. Says Google has significantly revised its artificial intelligence principles, removing earlier restrictions on using the technology for developing weaponry and surveillance tools. The update, announced on Tuesday, alters the company's prior stance against applications that could cause overall harm. In 2018, Google established a set of AI principles in response to criticism over its involvement in military endeavors, such as U.S. Department of Defense project that involved the use of AI to process data and identify targets for combat operations. The original guidelines explicitly stated that Google would not design or deploy AI for use in weapons or technologies that cause or directly facilitate injury to people or for surveillance that violates internationally accepted norms. The latest version of Google's AI principles, however, has scrubbed these points. Instead, Google DeepMind CEO Demis Hassabis or something, and Senior Executive for Technology and Society James Manyika have published a new list of the tech giant's core tenets regarding the use of AI. These include a focus on innovation and collaboration and a statement that democracy should lead in AI development, guided by core values like freedom, equality, and respect for human rights. Margaret Mitchell, who had previously co-led Google's ethical AI team, told Bloomberg the removal of the harm clause may suggest that the company will now work on deploying technology directly that can kill people. According to the Washington Post, the tech giant has collaborated with the Israeli military since the early weeks of the Gaza war, competing with Amazon to provide artificial intelligence services. Shortly after the October 2023 Hamas attack on Israel, Google's cloud division worked to grant the Israel Defense Forces access to AI tools, despite the company's public assertions of limiting involvement to civilian government ministries, the paper reported last month, citing internal company documents. Hang on. Calm down. Just calm down. Poor girl's got, she's dealing with her ear again. So, it's a never-ending battle. So I treated her ear again this evening. And, that stuff is not working as good as it used to. And it just has less effect and less effect. So, I really don't know what else to do. Let's see. It says Google's reversal of its policy comes amid continued concerns over the dangers posed by AI to humanity. Geoffrey Hinton, a pioneering figure in AI and recipient of the 2024 Nobel Prize in Physics, warned late last year that the technology could potentially lead to human extinction within the next 3 decades, and a likelihood he sees as being up to 20%. Well, I would say much quicker than that and much higher likelihood than that. So I would go as quick as 10 years, and I have to go 50%. So Hinton has warned that AI systems could eventually surpass human intelligence, escape human control, and potentially cause catastrophic harm to humanity. He has urged significant resources to be allocated towards AI safety and ethical use of the technology, and that proactive measures be developed. So that's what's going on with that. And again, I think it'd be quicker than that if we're not careful, with a much higher likelihood. Anyway, coffee break. Yum yum. Yum 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 coffee. Fun times, fun times. Still got a crazy appetite. Normally I eat one time a day, and it's usually not a ton. And I might snack a little bit on something later on. Today had fried chicken and green beans, chicken legs, fried chicken legs and green beans. And that wasn't going to do it. So I made a couple of peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, and that held me over for a little bit. And then wound up making a couple of just cheesy, cheap frozen burritos. And I'm okay. I'm not hungry right now. I could eat, but I'm not hungry. My body's not asking for food. So I don't know. My body's got to be battling something. Because it never craves that much food, that's for sure. And I get that's not a lot of food, but I started a long time ago. I mean, at first it wasn't on purpose that I wasn't eating much. It was because I missed my kids and all of that. But then I got my body used to, whether it was on purpose or not, eating just a little. And for the last 11 years or so, I haven't ate that much. Like I say, typically one meal a day, and I might snack around a little bit later. The reason why I'm not pushing myself to eat more, because what I'm eating's probably truly not enough, is because if something crazy does happen, my body's already used to that. You aren't going to look at me out on the street after the big SHTF and think, well, this guy's eating a ton of food, because I'm pretty damn scrawny. So I think it's smart to do stuff like that instead of waiting until you have no choice but to do it and then struggling with it. So that was one of the ways that I decided I would help prepare, if you will, for those times, is just make sure that my food intake stays low, where I can make food last a lot longer. So anyway, got this next story. I was talking a little bit earlier about the FBI and how some of the members of the FBI anonymously were filing a class action lawsuit against Trump. And well, they're not winning. FBI turned over details of 5,000 employees who worked on January 6 cases. Yikes! Out of like what, some 13,000 people that work for him, I think. It says the FBI has compiled, either way. The FBI has complied with the U.S. Department of Justice demand to hand over the details of over 5,000 employees involved in investigations related to the January 6 riots, CNN reported on Tuesday. In response, FBI agents have sued to protect the identities of the agents involved due to concerns about persecution. Oh, and by the way, all of this stuff that Elon Musk and the people that are working under him are uncovering, there is so much fear-mongering going on. People saying that, oh, you can't give them control of that information, of those, they don't have control of it. What they have is read access. All they can do is read it. They can't change nothing. They can't get rid of nothing. All they can do is read it. And that's all they're doing. It's what you call an audit. And they're auditing it. So, anyway, it goes on to say the January 6, 2021 Capitol Hill riots involved thousands of supporters of the U.S. President Donald Trump rallying in Washington, D.C. to try to stop the certification of the 2020 election results. And again, that's not really what they were doing. They were raising hell because they disagreed with the results. They knew something was stinky with the results. They weren't necessarily trying to stop the certification. Anyway, 5 people were killed as a result of the unrest. Wait a minute. You mean Ashley Babbitt? Yeah. See, she was the only one that was actually killed as a result of it. There were some others that died, and it could be argued in unrelated manners. So, I don't know why we keep pushing that narrative. It says in some 140 police officers were injured. More than 1,500 people were charged with federal crimes following investigations into the incident. Trump signed 2 executive orders the first day of his second term, commuting the sentences of 14 people connected to the riots and pardoning all others convicted, as well as ordering to end the weaponization of federal government, which is something we should all be behind. In line with DOJ demands, the FBI handed over the ID numbers, job titles, and roles in the January 6 investigations of more than 5,000 employees, but withheld their names. Let's see. Acting Deputy Attorney General Emil Bove has accused the agency of insubordination for refusing to turn over the agents' names, according to an internal email seen by a number of media outlets. Bove has repeatedly requested the FBI identify the core team involved in the January 6 investigation. And they'll get it. They'll get the information. I think that before too awful long, we are actually going to start seeing people get arrested for not complying with laws. Trump is canceling all federal payments to sanctuary cities. They're stopping it. And you've had a number of governors and other officials that have said, well, we're not going to assist, or we're going to do what we can to get in the way of the deportation plan. I think you're going to start seeing people get arrested, which is what should have started happening a whole hell of a long time ago. Because you can't do that. You're not supposed to be able to do that. You can't just do whatever the hell you want when you're a member of government and you're ordered. You can't just, oh, well, I'm just not going to pay attention. I don't have to pay attention. There's consequences to that. There's supposed to be. Maybe we'll see that come to light again. I sure hope so. It sucks when we, the people, are targeted and persecuted for every little thing, including a broken license plate light. But these people in government can get away with whatever the hell they want to. That's not cool with me. Maybe we're going to start seeing an end to that. I sure hope so. Says here, in light of this, the DOJ passed down a directive to obtain a complete data set which the department can reliably pare down to the core team that will be the focus of the weaponization review pursuant to the executive order. Bove reportedly wrote, the goal is not to prosecute those who simply followed orders. Where have I heard that? But to find those who acted with corrupt or partisan intent, defied FBI leadership, or exercised discretion in weaponizing the FBI, Bove reportedly demanded. So, we'll see. I'm hoping that we're about to see government get what's coming to them and what's been coming to them for an awful long time. Copy. That's coming to me now. But wait, there's more. It's not just the FBI, it's the CIA too. CIA sends buyout offers to entire workforce. Oh, you gotta love it. The Central Intelligence Agency on Tuesday became the first major national security agency to offer so-called buyouts to its entire workforce, a CIA spokesperson and two other sources familiar with the offer said, part of President Donald Trump's broad effort to shrink the federal government and shape it to his agenda. You know, he's not doing near the dirty stuff that Bill Clinton did to shape government to his agenda. And not for the same motives either. In fact, a lot of what Trump's doing now is fixing the stuff that Bill Clinton screwed up. To tell the truth. The offer, which tells federal employees that they can quit their jobs and receive roughly 8 months of pay and benefits, had up until Tuesday not been made available to most national security roles in an apparent cognizance of their critical function to the security of the nation. CIA Director John Ratcliffe personally decided he also wanted the CIA to be involved, one of the sources said. Spokesperson said that the move is part of Ratcliffe's efforts to ensure that CIA workforce is responsive to the administration's national security priorities, adding that it is part of holistic strategy to infuse the agency with renewed energy, or, not as corrupt people. Still, even as the offer was sent to the entire workforce at the agency, it was not immediately clear whether all would be allowed to take it. Some specific occupations and areas of expertise appear likely to be restricted, one of the sources familiar with the offer said, suggesting that the effort is far less sweeping than in civil service agencies that are not considered to be doing national security work. There's also a caveat for Ratcliffe to retain flexibility to work through the timing of officer departures in critical areas, according to another source familiar with the matter. And they're making a big deal about how confusing it is, and, well, it doesn't have to be confusing. If you work for the CIA, maybe you can ask what position that you're in all of this, if you would like to maybe take an early exit. I'll tell you what, from what I'm hearing, there's a whole lot of federal employees that are really kind of considering that early exit. And I'm hearing quite a few are pretty excited about it, to be honest. I don't know, 8 months' pay in one schwack, right? I don't know. I think I would take it, especially jobs that pay like that. 8 months? Yeah, I'd take it. I'd take it. Anywho, this next article here. Well, actually, I do this one. I was kind of actually shocked when I saw this headline. Yeah, kind of. And then it's like, well, it was a matter of time. So, you know how here in the United States, they are now adding, and this is what it is, not trying to gross anybody out or mislead anybody. They can now add ground up insects like crickets in our food. Well, apparently the EU, that has resisted a lot of the nonsensical stuff that the FDA has allowed here, is apparently on board with the insect-based ingredients. I said switch. Yep. European Commission has approved a new food ingredient made from dried and ground mealworm larvae, the young form of beetles. The larvae will be treated with ultraviolet light. Doesn't that make you feel better? They're going to shine a pretty light on it and it'll all be okay. A process similar to how sunlight helps human skin produce vitamin D. Okay. Because that really has something to do with it. The approval is part of the EU's plan to introduce more sustainable protein sources. No, they just want us to eat the bugs. And allows us up to 4% of the insect-based powder in products such as bread, cheese, pasta, and jams. Gotta love that bug jelly. The regulation takes effect on February 10. The decision follows a scientific opinion from the European Food Safety Authority, which found that UV-treated mealworm powder is safe at approved levels. So that's like when you get a package of your Cheetos and it says that a serving size is 1 cup, and you sit there and eat the whole damn party-size bag in one sitting. You're now above approved levels. And that's for one thing that you ate that day. See, that's what the FDA has done here. We are intaking way beyond the stuff that are quote-unquote approved levels because they are only considering that serving size. And they are only talking about that one particular serving of that one particular food in the entire day. And we wonder why we're so sick and obese and everything else. It says here, however, the agency warned that some people, including those with allergies to shellfish or dust mites, could experience reactions to mealworm proteins and suggested more research in this area. Shouldn't that be a sign? You would think that would be a sign. The decision aligns with the Food and Agriculture Organization's push for insects as a sustainable protein source, Compared to traditional livestock, insects require less land, water, and feed while producing fewer greenhouse gases. Oh, that climate change, that's why we gotta eat the bugs, making them a more eco-friendly option. Now earlier, and I didn't read that little last part there, says EFSA noted that while UV treatment enhances vitamin D3 content, it does not significantly contribute to dietary intake. So they make sure to push that they're going to be UV treated, right? But the purpose of us eating the bugs is for protein. Goes on to say the World Economic Forum, because you know we love those at the WEF, has also promoted insect consumption as a sustainable alternative to meat. Well, that's fine, Klaus. You eat all the damn bugs you want, buddy. In 2021, it described insect farming. That's what I want to be. I want to be an insect farmer. It described insect farming as a green solution to the growing food crisis, emphasizing its protein and fertilizer benefits. You know, the food crisis because they won't let us grow the food and raise the animals. That crisis. In 2022, the WEF outlined 5 ways eating insects could combat climate change by reducing greenhouse gas emissions linked to livestock farming. Because, you know, crickets don't fart. The approval of mealworm powder adds to the EU's list of authorized adds to the list, I want to clear that up, of insect-based foods. Previously, the European Commission approved other insects such as migratory locusts and house crickets, you know, because you don't want the yard crickets, but house crickets, they're good for you. In frozen, dried, and powdered forms because, you know, they're safe and effective that way. Hey now, young lady, I'm doing the show. Getting all bent out of shape and scruffing the futon. Now she's gonna huff. Yeah, there's the huff. And, goes on to say insects have long been a part of diets in Africa, Asia, and Latin America. Countries like Mexico and Thailand regularly consume crickets, grasshoppers, and beetle larvae. Recently, Singapore approved 16 insect species for human consumption. And you know, they throw a fit if you want to eat weed in the U.S. In the U.S. and Canada, insects are classified as novel foods and require regulatory approval. You know, like chocolate-covered crickets. You know you gotta love the chocolate-covered crickets. Come on now. Novel foods. Novel foods. You know what a novel food is to me? A nice, big, thick-ass sirloin. That's a novel food to me. Not a nice, big, thick-ass house cricket. That's not a novel food. That belongs in the yard. So anyway. Crazy, 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 crazy people. Crazier than me, and that says something. Derpa derpa. Oh, man. Yeah, this next one, I kind of had a chuckle this morning. Because about the time I shared out the first link, the second link came up. And I'm like, oh, well, I kind of shouldn't even have bothered with the first. Oh, let's see. Let me have a couple of vapes. I worked for that. Had to have been one cricket joke that was worth that. Oh, man. Feel a little better today, though. Appetite, like I said, was still up, but feeling a little better. I was sore, still sore A lot of muscle soreness today, but the ibuprofen did indeed help quite a bit with that. So, a good deal. Checked out a few more 2020 aircraft in the 2024 flight sim, and actually had to rewrite some code so that I could get them to function properly. So, pulled my hair out for a little while rewriting code, and then I decided, well, there's a big problem. Some of the 2020 aircraft, when you import it into 2024, the screens, like if you've got LCD screens on a panel in the airplane, they're dim. So dim you can't hardly make them out. And so anyway, they apparently fixed that in this first update. That they haven't released the update, but you can participate in the beta for the update, so you can technically get the update early. And anyway, so I installed that earlier this evening and confirmed that they did indeed fix the dark LCD screens, so, or LED screens, whatever you want to call them. Yeah, I guess they're LED screens, but anywho, that's awesome, because there's a lot of cool aircraft that I've got sitting in my folders that I want to fly. I got the Just Flight company, a developer called Just Flight, has a T-1A Hawk, T-45 essentially, and it's a trainer jet. And their version of that trainer jet is impeccable. I mean, I've never flown a T-45, I mean, come on. But I have a pretty good idea of how planes should fly, because I have flown a little bit, and I've done a whole lot of simulation flying. And just from understanding of physics and aerodynamics and all of that stuff, I understand how a plane is supposed to react based on its design, its power. And this thing's pretty spot on. And you gotta know how to fly it, or you can get yourself in a lot of trouble in it. But at the same time, if you know how to fly it, you can do some masterful stuff. And I really enjoyed taking that thing for a spin today. That was a lot of fun. Anywho, that was one of the planes I had to fix the code for, rewrite the code for. But I did it. Well, for the Microsoft Store version, I gotta get a hold of Hetty Hayes, and I gotta find out some folder locations from them, and that way I can fix it for the Steam users as well. So, because I don't know. That's what the difference is. It's a difference in the file structure. So, you got to change the code to accommodate for that. Okay, I guess I'm ready. I've got like 3 more stories, so I wanted to get a little coffee and some nicotine in me. USPS says it will resume accepting inbound packages from China and Hong Kong. Well, what do you mean? Well, earlier, before this headline, they announced that they were going to stop accepting the inbound packages. Now, what this really meant is that anything under $800 that we get shipped in, imported in from China, you don't have to pay the duties on it, right? There's these extra like tariffs, duties. They call it de minimis is what they call it. And that's what allows Alibaba and Temu and Shein and all of the others, there's a ton of them, to be able to sell you really cheap stuff, and you don't have to pay a fortune to get it. Because if it's under $800, you don't have to pay the duty fees. And that was going to change. That was going to change under the new policies. So apparently something was worked out to make it at least. Well, they said USPS announced late Tuesday it would stop accepting parcels from China and Hong Kong Post until further notice, which was like minutes. And again, they say here USPS and Customs and Border Protection are working closely together to implement an efficient collection mechanism for the new China tariffs to ensure the least disruption to package delivery. The agency wrote in a notice posted to its website. The change is effective immediately. So apparently they're still going to find a way to apply these tariffs to those goods, but they're not going to be like the duties and all of that like if it were an item over $800. So they'll get it worked out. They'll get it worked out. I'm sure they will. And if not, guess what? People won't be able to get ultra cheap crap from Temu and the other places. So, let's see. Checking a notification and got that window behind the other window and two more. I'm ready to go snuggle with a big black thing. 'Cause sometimes that's the highlight of my day. I love snuggling with that big black thing. You like snuggling with Dad? Huh, kiddo? I was talking about it earlier. And she was just laying there, tail started wagging. Love that kid. I swear, best dog that I've ever had, and closest I've ever been to a pet. Ever. I had a parakeet a long time ago named Ozzy, and I was close to that parakeet. I love that parakeet. I actually had a Siamese cat. Guess what its name was? Ozzy. Not at the same time, by the way. And I love the cat too. Me and that cat, I like Siamese cat. Because if you can win over the affection of a Siamese cat, you've done something. And I could absolutely do that. Don't get me wrong. He had his moments. And he'd damn well let you know about them. But most of the time, me and that cat, we were inseparable. Anyway, nothing like the relationship I have with Blue. Amazing dog, amazing personality, just incredible. Anyway, let me have another drink. So I do look forward to snuggling and getting my 3-butt bump. I've talked about that before. When I lay down, she's got this routine. So I'm typically in bed first. I get in bed, and she'll lay down next to me. But then Jen will get done getting ready for bed, and she'll come in to lay down. And Blue's like halfway across her spot. So I gotta get her up, and she gets up and leans up against me, demands that I scratch her belly while this is going on. And then Jen gets laid down. The moment she gets her glasses off, it's kisses time. And he gives her kisses like crazy. Now, I don't like kisses like crazy, so normally she might give me one peck on the forehead or something, and that's about it. But when she's done getting her belly scratched and giving her kisses, she'll bump her butt into me like 3 times, incrementally harder each time, and then throw herself down in between me and Jen. She's got to have her butt up against me as tight as she can and puts her head up against Jen, and she stays there for a little bit, usually not super long. I toss and turn and move a lot in my process of going to sleep. And, she ain't about that. So she'll eventually get up and go like to the foot of the bed. Sometimes up against my legs, sometimes not. Depends, but same routine pretty much every single night, and I wouldn't miss it for a thing. She is incredible. Anyway, here to do news, I think. Germany ready to deploy troops to Greenland, says Spiegel. It's pretty crazy. German government could pledge troops to a proposed NATO mission in Greenland, according to sources cited by Der Spiegel on Tuesday. The reported initiative by European members of the military bloc would aim to mitigate tensions created by President Donald Trump's push for U.S. sovereignty over the Danish island. Trump has framed his bid for Greenland as a national security issue, which it is, claiming that the U.S. could utilize the island to bolster its influence in the Arctic amid rising competition with Russia and China. Greenland is also rich in raw minerals, which could become more accessible due to climate change. Trump has not ruled out using military force and economic coercion against NATO ally Denmark. So, I think Germany's spouting off of the mouth. I don't think Germany would go to war with the U.S. I think they're at least smart enough to know that they wouldn't stand a chance. And I'm not somebody that's all boisterous and, we can kick anybody's ass. I don't feel that way. I don't believe that. I think North Korea would give us a hell of a run. I think China, Russia would give us a hell of a run. I think if we went and put boots on the ground in Iran and fought Iran, we would lose a hell of a lot of good men and women. Without a doubt. If you don't believe that, take a look at what happened in the desert for 20 years. You can't actually say that we owned them because we didn't. We didn't. And I realize that Biden was at the helm when it happened, but we got run out with our tail between our legs. And I don't think that that would have happened under Trump's command. I really don't. But in no way can we say we succeeded over there, because we didn't. 20 years, and a whole lot of good men and women lost. So I won't stick my chest out and talk about how badass the United States is when a bunch of people who live in caves and wear sandals fought us for 20 frickin' years. Anyway, one more article for you. Argentina withdraws from the WHO. And I know that's probably not very shocking, and surely isn't very shocking to me. But, the more countries that drop out of the WHO, the better off for the world. And I really feel that way. The more countries that pull out, the weaker they are as an organization. And they do need to be weakened, without a doubt. So does the CDC. They both need to be weakened because they've been co-opted and used for very nefarious things. Just like the United Nations. Same thing. The more people that pull out of the UN, the quicker that the UN dissolves, the better the world will be. On the surface it sounds like a great idea. But in reality, there's way too much corruption. And that's just the way it is. I'm not against organizations like that. However, I think the organizations should do what they claim to represent and not the opposite, while just using their good intentions as a front, which is largely what the UN, the WHO, the CDC, and many, many other organizations do. Hopefully, we're about to see an end to a whole lot of that nonsense. And I think there's a good chance of it. Oh, one last thing before I go. It's increasingly hard for me not to like Trump. And I gotta say that. I'm not comfortable with this. I am not comfortable with this. I like to, especially, remain removed emotionally about a politician. You know, I don't ever want to be blind. I don't ever want to, have scales over my eyes and not have the ability to see what's really going on. But when you got a president that does this, it's really, really hard not to get caught up in the moment. Now let me get my volume turned up here a little bit, and I'll play this before I sign off. Enjoy.
So I want to thank everybody for being here. It's fantastic. And this is sort of a big, big day. It shouldn't have even been necessary to take place. This started a long time ago, and we ended it today. And I'm going to sign the executive order right now, and everything I said will go into effect immediately, okay? Thank you. If you'd like to gather around me, I think I'm going to be okay. Come on. Come on. Secret Service is worried about them? If we have to worry about them, we have big problems. Okay, do you want to do this? Watch what I do, and then I'm going to give you some pens, okay? Are you ready? What a nice picture this is, huh, Governor? You ready? We'll do a good job. Wait, let me press that. I want to make this a really good signature, because this is a big one, right? Oh, I think we have a 10. We have a 10.
God bless you, Mr. President.
Pretty good, huh? I see that. Okay? Good. Now you're going to go out and win those events, right? Nice to see you all. Great going, everybody. Nice to see you. Thank you, kids. Here, take a pen.
Thank you.
I'll give some of these out, okay? Take a pen. Take a pen.
Thank you so much.
Where's Riley?
That was, in my opinion, just pure awesome, And it's so nice to have a president that I don't have to worry about what they're thinking or what they really want to do in a situation like that, because I couldn't say that about Biden. I did not trust Biden one bit when he was around kids. Mr. Sniffer, not one bit. It is so good to see this interaction. And one more thing real quick. Before this moment, he got to talking, and it was humorous. Because apparently during the Biden administration, he had offered to, part of where they're at right now, just part of it, make it into a ballroom. Apparently, his idea was going to make it much larger than the room that they're in right now. And he even talked about how when they do events, how they have to put up a big tent outside. And he thought it was awful, it'd be awful nice if they had a nice big ballroom in the White House to be able to hold the larger events. And he said he contacted the Biden administration about it and never heard anything back. Never heard anything back. And he continued on by saying, I'm going to talk to Trump and see if Trump will let me do it. And it was just hilarious. So I honestly, I would expect to see some changes happening in the White House, and the White House getting a nice big ballroom. So it was just humorous, though, how he went about talking about that. So anyway, I'm doing my best, I don't want to. I'm not even coming close to making him an idol or nothing like that, but I don't want to like a politician because I feel like it's my job, especially coming here and talking to you about news. It's my job not to be partial like that. And I'm telling you, it's becoming harder and harder because this man, in many ways, thinks like I do and has a lot of the same intention, especially the peace. He wants peace. And I don't know of a whole lot of people that I've seen serve in government that can really, truly say that. I'm fully convinced that he wants peace. He talked about Iran. And he talked about how he doesn't want to cause economic harm to the average Iranian because of things that the Iranian government does. He says he'll do it, but he doesn't like it. He doesn't want to. He doesn't want to harm people. I can stand behind a president like that. It means a lot to me, actually. I believe in peace. And I always have. And I would love to see it. I know there's bad connections in the good book with that. But I would like to see peace. Anyway, I am going to get out of here for the evening. I appreciate everybody coming. Hope you have a good evening. And God willing, I'll be back tomorrow night to finish up the week. So, again, have a good night. Oh, yeah, one more thing before I go. I can't forget to add this. My dream that I had last night. Wow. So I've been having dreams again, and this is in no way prophetic at all. Okay, I want to make that very clear. It's just a dream. But it's been a long time since I've had a dream that was as vivid and that has lasted as long as the dream I had this morning before I got up. My dream was I was somewhere. I don't know if it was D.C. I don't know where it was. It was on a coast somewhere, and I'll explain how I know that. But it was also around Christmas time because the room that we were in had a Christmas tree. And I was with Elon Musk and his Doge team. And we even stood in front of the Christmas tree and got some photos and stuff like that. I remember looking at out a window, and there had to have been some kind of a port right there or something like that, because I remember watching a military ship go floating by. So it had to be on the coast somewhere. And I was having issues with my phone and dealing with that and all. I don't know what all that was about, but it was a wild dream. It was a really, really wild dream. And it's one I won't forget. It is one I won't forget. It was kind of cool. It was kind of cool. I woke up this morning from that dream, and I just had an upbeat, because it was, in my opinion, my thoughts on it, it was funny. It was humorous. But anyway, I wanted to make sure to tell you about my dream. I hope you all have a good night. I hope you have good dreams tonight. God willing, I'll see you tomorrow night. As always, shalom.